Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to tackle a really big question in the world of tech. We're building these incredibly powerful AI systems, right? But how do we actually keep them safe and secure? It's a massive topic, so let's just dive right in. It feels like every single day AI is getting smarter, more capable. But here's the thing. Every time it gets smarter, it also opens up new doors for attackers, new vulnerabilities they can exploit. So that brings us to the huge question for anyone working in this field. Your AI might be smart, but is it really secure? So to figure that out, here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at what makes AI's new attack surface so unique. Then we'll get into how you can actually detect and manage those threats with some specific tools. After that, we're going to see how it all fits together in a professional incident response playbook. And finally, we'll wrap it all up with the key security takeaways you absolutely need to know. Okay, let's get into our first section. We need to understand the unique threats that these intelligent systems are up against. Because before we can even talk about solutions, we've got to have a really clear picture of the problems. When it comes to securing AI, you're pretty much fighting a battle on three main fronts. You've got data poisoning, then there's what we call model misuse, and finally, there's a classic that's just as dangerous as ever, good old system misconfiguration. Let's dig into what each of these actually means. So what on earth is data poisoning? Well, think of it like this. If you feed your AI a steady diet of contaminated, bad food, you're going to get some pretty sick results. So, for example, imagine an attacker secretly feeds a self-driving car's AI thousands of images of stop signs that have this tiny, almost invisible sticker on them. And in the data, they label all those images as speed limit 80. The model learns this poison, and then, out in the real world, it could see a real stop sign and just blow right through it. The results could be catastrophic. That's data poisoning. All right, next up, model misuse. Now, what's so interesting about this one is that the attacker isn't even trying to corrupt the model itself. They're just tricking it. They're being clever with what they ask it, crafting their input so carefully that they can force the AI to do things it was never meant to do, like generating fake news, spitting out sensitive data, or even running harmful code. And finally, we have misconfiguration. And this is so important because you could have the most brilliant AI on the planet, but if the house it lives in has no locks on the doors, it's completely vulnerable. We're talking about simple mistakes, weak passwords, no encryption on your data, network ports left wide open that can leave the whole system exposed. Okay, so we've got a handle on the problems. Now let's talk solutions. In this section, we're going to look at a few specific tools from AWS that are just great examples of how you can build a really strong defense for your AI systems. And of course, other cloud providers have similar tools, but the principles we're about to cover are totally universal. We're going to focus on a team of three core services. First, there's Amazon GuardDuty, which is all about spotting threats as they happen. Then you have Amazon Inspector, which is about finding the weaknesses before an attack. And finally, Amazon Detective, which is your go-to for investigating when something actually does go wrong. So first up is Amazon GuardDuty. Think of it like a high-tech watchtower for your system. What's cool is that it uses its own AI and machine learning to find weird anomalies and malicious behavior in real time. It's fantastic at catching the exact kind of model misuse and bad inputs we just talked about. And a pro tip, it works best when you also sanitize your inputs, which basically means cleaning the data before your model ever sees it. Next, we have Amazon Inspector, which I like to think of as a health scanner for your entire setup. Its whole job is to find those security holes before they can be exploited. It helps you find, prioritize, and then go fix those risks, and it's all aligned with major industry standards like the NIST framework.
But what happens when a threat actually makes it through your defenses? Well, that's when you call in Amazon Detective. This is your investigator tool. As soon as a security alarm goes off, Detective starts gathering all the logs and data to create this visual map of what happened. It helps you get to the root cause fast, the who, what, and when, which is absolutely critical for a fast response.
So we have the tools. Awesome. But look, tools are only ever as good as the strategy you use them in. This next part is all about taking those services and plugging them into a real professional security framework, so you have a solid plan for when things go south. And look, this quote really says it all. In cybersecurity, you just have to operate with the assumption that an incident is going to happen. Seriously, it's not a question of if, but when. Being prepared is what separates a minor hiccup from an absolute disaster. The industry gold standard for this is the NIST Incident Response Lifecycle. It all starts with preparation. That's where you get your defenses ready. Then comes detection and analysis, where you're constantly monitoring. If something happens, you jump to containment to stop the bleeding. Then, you move to eradication and recovery to kick the threat out and get your systems back online. And finally, and this might be the most important step, post-incident lessons learned, where you figure out how to get even stronger for next time. And that's really the big idea here. Security isn't something you do once and then check off a list. No way. It's a constant cycle. It's a loop. What you learn from one incident makes your preparation for the next one even better, and your systems just get more and more resilient over time. All right, we have covered a ton of ground. Let's pull it all together in our final section and just lock in the most important things to remember from all of this.
So if you only remember a few things, make it easy. GuardDuty? That's your real-time threat detection. Inspector? That's for proactive vulnerability scanning. Detective? That's your post-incident investigation. The big, unique AI risk to watch out for is data poisoning, which messes with your training data. And finally, a strong defense always requires both solid preparation and nonstop monitoring.
And that brings us to one last thought. There's no doubt about it, AI is building our future. But that comes with a huge responsibility, because this technology can't secure itself. That part is on us. So I'll just leave you with this question to think about. As AI builds our future, who's going to build its defenses? Thanks for watching.